Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching and welcome to Hokie Nation for those who were just accepted and are coming in the fall. So my name is Kinley Andrew. I am the coordinator for new student and family programs here at Virginia Tech, and I use she, her pronouns. And I am excited to be hosting this webinar today with Morgan Snowatsky, who is with the Student Engagement and Campus Life Department. So I'm going to pass it over to Morgan and she'll take it over from here on building community.
Thanks, Kenley. So as Kenley said, my name is Morgan Snowatsky. I use she, her pronouns. I serve as our Assistant Director for Student Org Development, in which I have the pleasure of overseeing our community of 800 student organizations, providing support, management, and advisement to those groups. So today we're going to talk about some of my favorite things, which is building community and how an understanding of identity, both racially, ethnically, culturally, can make it so that we can have some transformative involvement experiences here on campus. So a little bit about today's session. I'll talk a little bit about the department and the benefits of involvement. We'll explore some options for those relevant involvement opportunities, and then get familiar with some events and resources for getting involved at Virginia Tech as well. So a little bit about student engagement and campus life. We're here to complement the academic experience by building communities, promoting holistic education, cultivating environments where lived experiences can occur through leadership, innovation, and service. Lots of big words, but how that actually is going to look to you as a student. A couple ways pictured on this screen. So we have Gobbler Nights, which is one of our late night programs. Students in the middle there are handing out information at Gobbler Fest, our student organization fair. And on the end, we have some students also handing out information about their student organizations at Hokie Shuffle, an event that we do at the beginning of the year to help student orgs network with our students looking to get involved. So just a little bit more about our department. We have something called Break Zone, our recreation space, so you can play bowling and billiards. We have our Source, which is our Student Org Resource Center, which we'll also come back to when talking about involvement advising. And a couple other services to provide support and services for our student organizations. And we advise and support our Virginia Tech Union that plans a lot of concerts and large programs on campus, as well as the homecoming board that plans our homecoming experiences. So really, I mean, if you came to this session or if you're tuning into this video, it likely means that you're thinking about involvement, but maybe don't know, why. A lot of times we have folks that are like, yeah, to make friends, right? When we come to campus, we're looking to find a community of people who want to share our experiences, want to connect with us and kind of build those relationships. Learning new things is also a really great benefit of being involved in a student organization or other ways on campus. Diving deeper into your academics, exploring passions, building a professional network. Often student organizations are great places to get closer with faculty and meet alumni from the organization and in your field. Finding a sense of belonging. Our organizations can be places that we look to be mirrored and feel a sense that we matter to other people. Well-being. So somebody recently was like, yeah, these people might encourage you to engage in healthy habits. So getting out of your room and maybe going out and exploring a trail with the outdoor club, but also your mental health, right? Receiving and providing social support to others is proven to be positive as a mental health outcome. And organizations and other communities are great places to do that. Persisting academically. So whether that means that your organization has a study group and is literally contributing to your academic experience, or that you have other people that motivate you to care deeply about your academics and stay committed to things about being a student. And then learning about yourself. Part of college is figuring out who we are, who we want to be, and our relationships with others are often a place that we locate our values or the things that we care about. And over here on the right, you'll see for those of us that are career-minded, transferable skills that you get in a student organization, time management being a major one. If you talk to any student leader, they'll tell you that they have a Google Calendar that's color-coded. Conflict resolution and collaboration and teamwork go hand in hand. Working with others is beautiful and messy, and student organizations and communities on campus are great places to learn those skills. Taking leadership positions and learning how to lead other people and take charge. critical thinking, trying to figure out what the best solution is to a problem, communication. So talking with people in your org, talking with people who you're trying to recruit. I know I've talked to a couple of students recently where they're like, yeah, like I just am not used to talking to people anymore because maybe you did a lot more online classes and things. And so communicating with people of multiple kind of identities and backgrounds, great skill to gain in a student org. Then project management. I know a lot of jobs that folks are kind of looking to get involve managing projects, and often being a student organization has lots of moving parts and will prepare you to do that. And then this is just some kind of more expansive examples of how to get involved. So I obviously am a little biased towards our student organizations because I care for them deeply and work with them directly. So you could join a student organization or pledge a fraternity or sorority. But we also have sports club teams or intramural sports that are a little bit lower level commitment. Attending events hosted by departments and organizations is a great way to like dip your toe in and feel out the vibe of a community or a group that you want to maybe get involved with. Getting active in a community advocacy group or attending services and groups at a local place of worship. So you can also be involved kind of in the Blacksburg area beyond campus. And then always love to shout out student employment as a really valuable way to be involved in learning those real skills. And you get paid to do it. So a lovely benefit there. And a shameless plug for student engagement in campus life. We have a wide variety of opportunities for folks to work for our department, engaging other students and contributing to helping other students have a great experience on campus. So we've talked about, why would you want to get involved? So how do you do it, right? A big piece of advice that I like to give out is to be intentional about your involvement. So it can be really tempting to get to campus and be like, I need to do everything and I need to be everything and I need to be everywhere. Sometimes we're motivated either extrinsically by like, oh, like somebody's going to want to see this on my resume, or, oh, my dad or my like sister's cousin's friend told me that I have to join this thing. Really, hone in on like what matters to you. Depth versus breadth is going to be more valuable. So even if we're looking at kind of the resume thing, if you put on a resume that you were in 10 orgs and somebody asks you about the 9th org and you're like, ooh, I like maybe went to the 3 meetings one time, you're not going to have as much to talk about as if you like commit to a couple organizations that really build your skills, echo your values, and you're able to talk really passionately about the experiences you had in that organization. So you might want to consider, like I mentioned, personal goals and values. So maybe that you want to be an event planner. So you want to make sure that you're getting those skills, or you care really deeply about a certain social issue. So you want to be in an organization that's advocating for that change. Areas for growth and exposure. So I always advocate for folks kind of picking orgs that are a continuity of who they've been, and then also trying something super new and seeing if you like it. I was just talking to the unicycling club recently, and they're like, nobody knows that they don't like unicycling because most people haven't done it, which I think is an excellent point to this kind of growth mindset that we can have in getting involved. And then time commitment and needs. So I often get asked, what's the right number of orgs to join? And that really is personal based on your skills for managing your class load, depending on your academic major, and depending on the org. So for example, on this slide, you'll see one of our a cappella groups. A cappella groups practice multiple times a week for multiple hours. And if that's not something you can fit into your schedule, we also have lots of orgs that maybe meet once a week for an optional meeting. So different levels of commitment are something you want to experiment with and figure out what works for you. It's really easy to add experiences as you go along in your collegiate experience. And it can be uncomfortable to withdraw from an experience, but that's also an option too, right? So you don't have to be in something just because you decided that maybe you wanted to try it. That's okay as well. So some of the resources to be aware of, first and foremost, Gobbler Connect. So Gobbler Connect is our online student organization management platform. It's a great place to find events. There's an app called Quark that also allows you to stream events from Gobbler Connect onto your phone. You can find and contact student organizations. So if we have a little bit of time at the end, I might pop back into Gobbler Connect and kind of show a little bit about like how to use Gobbler Connect. It feels wonky to switch screens right now. So you can find our organizations. They have a little bit of information on all of the pages, like what's the time commitment, how many people are in this org, when do they meet. And then if you're in a student organization, this is also where you'll manage kind of your internal factors of the organization as well. The My Experience VT map is a resource for you to kind of plan what makes sense for your goals. So you'll be able to kind of use your strengths based on the strengths portal and going through that assessment, identify some goals that align with those strengths and what you want to do. And then all of our student organizations, lots of on-campus experiences like student employment or events also all feed into there. So you can kind of lay out, oh, I think that like before I get to campus, I want to go ahead and make sure that I've like been on Gobbler Connect and looked at orgs. But maybe by the end of my first year, I want to join the undergraduate student senate. And then by the end of the experience, so by my fourth year, I want to be a leader in that organization. And I think kind of harkening back to what I said earlier, it doesn't mean that this has to be what you do. You don't have to lock yourself in, but it can be nice to have that intentionality about how you want your experiences to build, and also to visually see, oh, I'm really focusing on this one goal. Maybe I need to kind of disperse my experiences to focus on multiple goals at once. And then we like to talk about how there's a very big like just do it mentality around involvement in our team. So on this slide, you'll see the engagement ambassadors, who are our student staff that work with student organizations and involvement more generally. And there's just kind of this assumption like, oh, I don't know, just show up to campus and like you'll find exactly what your heart desires, right? And I'm here to tell you that like it can be a lot more complex, just like most things in life. It can be messy and confusing. But we have a team of people that are here to provide the level of support that you need to get through that process successfully. So if you're maybe like, I don't know where to start, you can submit the questionnaire through Gobbler Connect, and we'll get back to you at the beginning of the semester. And you can set up an appointment with one of our engagement ambassadors, and they can kind of talk you through, oh, like you said, you did this in high school. We have an org that's similar. Oh, you know that you had a really great time at orientation. Have you thought about becoming an orientation leader? So they can kind of provide that one-on-one support. We do kind of internet, like email recommendations. If you're like, I just like want somebody to like help me like start thinking about it. And if you're like, oh, I think I kind of want to go to this meeting, but I don't want to be like by myself, an engagement ambassador can go with you. So you can request any of those levels of support through our involvement advising questionnaire. Once again, it's on the front page of Gobbler Connect. You won't be able to miss it. And we have some major events that are great opportunities to explore involvement as well. So we have Gobbler Fest, which is our kind of biggest event at the beginning of the semester. Lots of people, lots of organizations. We have 740 tables at Gobbler Fest. And that features a large proportion of our student organization community, departments from across campus, some local groups as well. Good opportunity to explore, but like I said, it's big. So we always advise folks to prepare for attending that event. So go on Gobbler Connect, reflect on what you might want to join so that you can have kind of a plan going into it. Or, you know, if you're somebody who's like, I'm very into serendipity and I just want to go with it, you know, bring a big hat and a lot of water and wander your way through 740 tables over the course of a couple hours. It's a really fun event, and we have performances from student orgs as well. So great opportunity here very soon. We also have a fair at the beginning of the spring semester called Gobbler Fair. And what's notably cool about Gobbler Fair is that it features all of our new student organizations that are recognized in the fall. So even if you go to Gobbler Fest and you're like, yeah, I found like one or two things that I definitely want to do, or say you were like, I was not ready at Gobbler Fest, like wasn't on board to commit to anything. There's always more opportunities to get involved. Many of our organizations do ongoing recruitment throughout the year. And Gobbler Fair, once again, like you can see brand new orgs that wouldn't have even been at Gobbler Fest. We recognize about 100 new organizations a year. So the community is always expanding, and there's always new options to keep an eye out for. And then we have some smaller events. So Gobbler Fest and Gobbler Fair, large scale events can be a little bit more hype, I would say, you know, performances and things like that. But we've added some smaller events as well, maybe to cater to, maybe you're a little bit more introverted. Maybe you're really trying to find a more targeted experience. We have something called Hokey Shuffle at the beginning of the year. You get free ice cream. And we really encourage orgs, instead of like tabling as a representative of their org, tabling as a representative of their org that also wants to talk about getting involved. So we prepare them to kind of chat about like, hey, like, how did you find the orgs that you're part of? What was like hard about that? What was easy about that? What have you learned around that process? So, and then there's some departments there as well, but it's much more kind of like low-key experience to maybe get you mentally prepared for Gobbler Fest, or just get to meet some upperclassmen that are in student organizations as well. And then we have Gobbler Market, which happens a couple of times a semester. And those are just like more opportunities to see what orgs are doing throughout the semester. So like I said, a lot of orgs do ongoing recruitment, but also they have events throughout the year or fundraisers or initiatives and advocacy campaigns. So Gobbler Market is definitely something to keep an eye out for, just to kind of embrace the fact that we have a huge community of organizations that want to be in your face and want to tell you about all the great things that they're doing. And you can kind of explore throughout the year by attending Gobbler Market. And now I want to talk a little bit about specific opportunities through this kind of lens of being culturally, ethnically relevant. So like, why is it important to find relevant opportunities for you? So first off, connect with students who have similar experiences. Sometimes we can get lost in this idea that like everybody else is similar and I'm different, and then I don't feel like I fit into the big thing. But there are lots of small pockets at Virginia Tech. There is not only one way to be a Hokie. And so you can find other people that have similar experiences at Virginia Tech, whether that's because they have a similar background, maybe they've had similar experiences in the classroom. So that kind of affirming experience of saying like, oh, I'm like other people, is baseline a great way to take advantage of a relevant involvement opportunity. Expressing and celebrating important parts of your culture and experience, right? So going beyond just like being like, we're the same, but also getting to take pride in the things that make you unique. So we have this event every spring called International Street Fair, and all of the international students, right, get to represent the countries that are their country of origin. And it's this beautiful thing to say like, wow, you get to bring all of these elements of who you are to a space on campus. And that really brings so much vibrancy to campus and can be a really affirming experience for ourselves to say, I take pride in who I am. It matters that I can be who I am. And there are other people who want to do that with me. Finding peer and faculty mentors that reflect your identity. So I mentioned earlier that organizations are great places to network. And often the folks that are advisors for those organizations can end up being a mentor for you. Or maybe upperclassmen leaders in that organization can help you understand that like, hey, I see myself in that role because you look like me or you talk like me, right? And that can be really exciting. I was just talking to some students earlier in the summer about the Association of Black Psychologists. And I mean, their advisor makes really intentional steps to help them understand how to get to grad school, how to get connected with research. So really exciting opportunity to get kind of professional development and mentorship from folks that really understand who you are and where you're coming from. Also wanted to highlight kind of embracing multiple aspects of your personal identity. So sometimes we might feel like we have to pick one of ourselves to be in a space. So like, oh, like if I want to be in the women in STEM org, like I just show up as like myself as woman, but not my identity as like queer person. And we have some really great communities that are aimed at combining identities and affirming multiple identities. So thinking about our queer sorry, I'm like queer and trans people of color organization that works with Hokie Pride really closely. Some of our Greek organizations kind of represent the intersection of gender and race in specific ways. And so there are also places that you can find people who share multiple parts of your experience and find community there. So next, I'm going to talk through just like a couple of the kind of what I would say like major experiences that fit into this. And we'll also highlight that like, if you don't see something that you love and are excited about, you can always start a new organization. So there are definitely elements of our community that are still looking for more dynamic options for students to participate. And that's why we support folks in establishing new organizations on such a regular basis. So first, we have a bunch of dance teams and what I kind of call cultural celebration groups. So many of our cultural dance groups kind of blend contemporary dance elements with more specific styles. So, want to make sure I don't get these orgs' names wrong. So in the middle here is Junoon. We have Wahala on the left and then Shade on the right. So Shade is a K-pop group. Junoon is a like fusion India Garden and Ross group. And then Wahala does kind of African dance combined with some contemporary style. So a lot of these organizations you'll see performing at campus events. They participate in competitions around the state and around the country. And there are often, so like some of our umbrella organizations like the Asian American Student Union put on a showcase that showcases a variety of these organizations in one place as well. Next, we have cultural fraternities and sororities. So we have the National Pan-Hellenic Council, which is composed of our historically Black organizations, and the United Council of Fraternities and Sororities, which includes Latinx and Asian interest organizations, among some others. Both offer these kind of like this combination of social experience. Service is a key element of all of these organizations, and personal development in a community that has this deep historic root. We had our first Gobbler Market in the spring, and to be able to see our students get to stroll on campus in that way was really powerful, because sometimes we're in spaces that weren't made for us at the original kind of planning and outset of the world. And these are great places to reclaim space and get to take pride in who you are and the communities that you're a part of. And then next, I'll highlight some of our community building, advocacy, and educational groups. So these might be groups that are just solely kind of about we have a shared identity, and that's what makes our group a group. So in the middle, we have Latin Link. So that's a group for our Latinx students. They won Organization of the Year a couple of years ago, great group. On the left, you'll see Students for Cultivating Change, which is a group for LGBTQ plus students in the College of Natural Resources and Ag. So one of those kind of intersections of specific academics and an identity group that I was mentioning earlier. And then on the far right, this is Black Student Alliance. So they plan kind of educational programs, culturally relevant events. So they do a Kwanzaa celebration, they plan concerts. And all of these groups, I think broadly, are about raising awareness and pride on campus and ensuring that you kind of have visibility as part of these groups. And lastly, we do have identity-based professional organizations. So if you kind of have professionally oriented goals, there might be an organization that also combines your identity with the academic practices that you're pursuing. So on the left, we have the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers. In the middle, we have Fluid, which is a LGBTQ plus professional organization. And then we have SHIP, which is the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And so you'll see a lot of those in the engineering college. But then we do have some more broad ones like Fluid in the middle there. But I mean, those are places that you can build professional networks. A lot of them go to conferences. You're able to learn about resume writing and interviewing. So getting connected with resources from career and professional development. And just learning about what are the specific ways that developing your professional identity might be unique for you based on the experiences that you have, based on who you are and the identities that you hold. And so these groups also provide you're trying to navigate your major, how am I going to learn to study? So you can kind of get a lot of benefits from the same community by joining one of these groups as well. And that's all the content that I have for today. I'm happy to answer any questions or happy to kind of pop through Gobbler Connect, depending on the preference.
If there are no questions, I think Gobbler Connect would be awesome to show that. And also feel free to use the chat if you have questions and you're not, comfortable speaking out loud. You also can unmute yourself if you want, but if not, we can go ahead and I think pop over to Gobbler Connect. And then if there are questions in the chat, we can answer those afterwards.
Well, of course, I got signed out of Gobbler Connect. Why wouldn't I?
Right.
Okay, so I'll call some attention to the involvement advising questionnaire. Once again, that's at the top here. So once again, like if you're kind of like, where do I even start? But you can get started if you know you're looking for a specific kind of organization. So say I am looking for a lacrosse group. I can find examples of that. Maybe I am looking for groups for folks that identify as Asian. So I can look at, all of the organizations that include that in their name or description. You can also, once you're on the organization page, navigate by category. So we have like an advocacy and awareness category that will further filter the things that you've searched, or you can just look at all the orgs in a certain category. You can select multiple categories so that you're looking at like a full listing of all of the things that you're interested in. And then you can also look at events on this page on Gobbler Connect. So we encourage all student organizations to post events. It's summer, so we have lots of the summer arts festival things up here right now. But if you go to one of the student org pages, so we'll just go to 209 Marketplace. All of our organization's pages will have this additional information section, which will provide you with the person they've identified to talk to prospective members. So if you have questions and some of that basic information I talked about. So, when do they accept new members? This is one of those things, right? Once again, most orgs don't have a restricted membership period. We do have some. So for example, our fraternities and sororities have pretty set formal processes for member recruitment, or we have some like kind of professional orgs that have a competitive applicant pool. But we also have lots of organizations that are like, please show up anytime. We always want help. We always want people to engage in conversation. And then you can also get an idea of kind of what the commitment will be like and how big of a community you'd be entering. Yeah, I feel like that. And some of our orgs will have more robust pages than others, featuring like pictures of what the organization has done in the past. So like this Active Minds page is a good example. You can see some past events that they've done as well by showing past events. So if you want to get a better idea of kind of what organizations are actually doing. And then I also always recommend that you check out an organization's Instagram or Facebook or whatever they're using, because that might be the place that they're updating information most often. It will give you kind of that direct personality of the organization. I'm not going to pull up an org's Instagram page because that could be interesting, but you should do it and explore the orgs that you want to join. Most of them are on social media, and you'll be able to find them on their Gobbler Connect page right here under their contact information.